It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here's WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today, Senior Deputy State Fire Marshal Oliver Alkire and his Accelerant Detection K-9 partner, Kachina. Yes. And Kachina is a beautiful 4-year-old black lab. She was trained to detect accelerants that may be used at the scene of a fire. She was trained by the ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, K-9 Training School in Front Royal, Virginia. She graduated around December 2015.
Yes, that's correct, Donna.
And thank you for joining me today in the studio.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And if you hear any noises, Kachina's sort of meandering around the studio, sniffing everything in sight, and that's what she's been trained to do.
That's true, yeah. She sniffs everything and everywhere. It's just her nose never stops.
And it really doesn't. As you came into the parking lot and I met you outside, she's out in the field sniffing. I mean, she is completely focused on this job of hers.
Constantly. Her nose never stops. I mean, although she will walk by gas cans or gas caps, until she's actually given a command to work, she will not actually do what she's supposed to do. She won't actually sit and produce a positive alert unless, she's given the correct command to work.
Did you have dogs before, Kachina?
No. Last time I actually had a dog, I was probably about 10 years old. I had a German Shepherd. I've always had an interest in the K-9 program or being a K-9 handler ever since I became a police officer. When the opportunity arose, I decided to take it. I've been with the State Fire Marshal's office now for about 10 years. After about year 4, I actually showed interest and applied and continued to reapply for many years. There's just a few of these select dogs across the country. The Maryland State Fire Marshal's office is very fortunate. We actually have 4 of these dogs provided by the ATF. That is the most in the country. No other agency has more than 2, with the exception of us in Maryland.
So that's amazing.
It is. We're very fortunate.
And why she's now, Kachina's in my lap, which I have no, I'm getting some kisses. Hi, sweetie. Why is that? Why do you have 4?
It's a great working relationship that we have with the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The Baltimore field office of the ATF is actually, from my understanding, the busiest arson group in the country. So with that being said, they always want a dog available, and we can have any dog available anywhere on any fire scene, almost less than an hour, hour and a half.
And your territory is what?
I take my fire investigation duties. I take care of Hartford and Cecil County, but for K-9, I actually take almost anywhere from basically Baltimore west all the way to Deep Creek Lake.
Not including this area?
No, actually, Anne Arundel County Fire Department, Lieutenant Mayers, he actually went through training with me. He actually also has an Accelerant Detection K-9.
Okay.
So you are fortunate right here in Annapolis and Anne Arundel area to have a dog available probably within, 60 minutes or less.
And because we have listeners in Queen Anne's County as well, who handles that territory?
That would actually be me.
Okay.
And also another gentleman from Salisbury.
All right, very good. Tell me what Kachina has done since you've had her.
She has worked probably in the almost 2 years that she's been on the job, she's probably worked close to 200 scenes. We are extremely busy, so every time an arson investigator gets called out to a scene and they suspect arson or wants to rule arson out with an accelerant or a flammable liquid, they would contact us. I would respond to the scene, deploy her into the scene, and she looks for the evidence of ignitable liquids.
You all, as their handlers, have to have an idea something exists somewhere. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. No. So typically on scenes, I may know what's going on, but again, we never want these dogs to come in. I never want her to false positive alert, and I have to come in with a clear mindset. I never want to be influenced of what the investigator may think. Again, we're there just strictly for evidence collection. So my job is a K-9 handler at that point. I'm not actually a fire investigator. So I kind of back off and just let her do her job.
Regarding false positives, what will set that off?
It can be a variety of things. Certainly, we don't want that. What my job is to do is just to go ahead and present the area for her to smell and to seek. But again, if you slow down, that's going to go down the leash, and she's going to sense that.
She's going to think that
and she may think, oh, well, look, there might be something here. So again, I'm listening for her her nose. I'm looking at her, and again, I can tell when she may, if she can try to get one over on you, sometimes these dogs will, and you have to recognize that. It could be food. They're extremely food driven, so you don't want to give them any indication that there could be something there. Again, it's just you're going in with a clear mindset of that this is just a scene that you want the evidence to be collected without any indication from the other investigators.
And when you're out and about, not on the job, has she ever alerted for real on stuff? No.
I get asked that all the time. She will walk right by gas cans because, again, until she's actually given a command to work, we don't want that. I don't want to be bringing her into my parking lot or, my driveway at home or out in the parking lot of a facility and her just running up to a gas cap on the side of a car and going, hey, I want some food. We don't want that, So, again, until she's actually given the command to work, she will not. She'll continue to walk right by a bucket of gas, for instance. We don't want that.
And what's the most, I don't know if you can say this, but what's the most unusual thing she's detected that you didn't realize that she could maybe detect?
We are taught trust your dog. That is drilled into your head day in and day out during your training and every day after. You have to trust your dog. So when you actually go into a scene and it's a completely burnt out house and she's indicating on a spot here, a spot there, all throughout the house, you have to go, is this really happening? But when the evidence comes back from the laboratory, then and it's all those spots or all those pieces of evidence come back as positive. That it really is. It reinforces all of the training that you've been through. You look at this massive structure and you go, I may suspect something happened, but again, until she goes in and she finds just literally just trace amounts of gasoline or kerosene and it comes back positive for that's just amazing, and it just brightens your day as an investigator and go, you know what, these dogs are amazing to see.
Let's take a break. When we come back, let's find out exactly what she's found out there that have helped put some people behind bars. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Senior Deputy State Fire Marshal Oliver Alkire. You'll hear some noises that we don't normally have in the studio, and the reason for that is he has brought his Accelerant Detection K-9 partner, Kachina, and Kachina has a constantly moving tail. She's a Labrador Retriever, so lab owners know this. She's happy, and she's sniffing, and she sniffs for accelerants. That's not the same thing as explosives.
No, like we were talking about a little earlier during our break, the accelerants and explosives are different. We get compared to, is that a bomb sniffing dog? No, she's an Accelerant Detection K-9, or commonly referred to as an arson dog. We don't prefer to use that term. It's accelerant detection or ignitable liquids. So we're looking for gas, kerosene, mineral spirits, lighter fluid, anything that can accelerate a fire. That's what her job is to do, is to go into those houses, businesses, cars, even just open areas, and look for the smallest amount of ignitable liquids that investigators can collect and send away to the lab for confirmation.
So this would sort of explain why she was focused on the tire area of our van, which probably has some gas or other stuff still around it.
It could be.
Auto stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. It certainly piques her interest when she smells, but again, even though she's always smelling, she won't produce a positive alert until she's given a command to work.
And that positive alert is sitting down, I'm assuming, and staying still until you come over and say, what do you smell?
Yeah, so when we give her the command to seek, she would go out, sniff the area. She would actually sit. I, of course, note that. I would give her a couple kibbles of food. I say, show me. And she would actually put her nose in or just above the area where the ignitable liquid is. And I would tell the investigator, that is the area that you need to collect for evidence.
Okay, bad people behind bars. Are there some today because of Kachina?
There are. She certainly has had positive alerts, and that evidence collected has come back and assisted investigators in their investigation. Again, she's only a tool. That's what I try to always emphasize to investigators. They're always expecting her to go out, and she can't handcuff nobody. She can't report right. If she could, I'd be great. I always say, if she could write reports and drive my car, I'd be
okay,
set.
so not to diminish the role that you play as the human. There are people behind bars because of teams like you and Kachina.
Absolutely. All across this country, these dogs are a valuable asset. She's only one of 54 in the country who does what she does.
That's amazing. As she's sniffing her rear because that's what dogs do.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about labs. We are a very water-centric community here in Annapolis. Labs are probably the most popular dog here in Annapolis. This is the smallest, sleekest Labrador Retriever I've ever seen at 4 years old. Labs tend to put on weight. She is food trained. She is food motivated, not toy motivated.
Yeah, that's right. She's a food reward dog, and one of the reasons why we specifically use food reward dogs is that you got to think about a fire scene. If there's holes in the floors or the windows are broken, we can't do play reward or play tug. It's just not feasible to do that. So food reward, we have found out, is the best reward for these type of dogs. We can find one spot of gas, feed her, and continue on.
Okay. And you managed to keep her at a good weight. How?
Yeah, so every day she's only trained on about a cup and a half to 2 cups of food a day. So every single day, in order for her to eat, she needs to be training. So either it's I lay out spots of gas or we go to a fire scene. And in order for her to eat, she needs to be training or working. She will never eat out of a bowl. She only will eat out of the palm of my hand for her career.
When she's on the job, not related to food, but is she wearing boots or something along those lines?
That's a great question. We get that all the time, and actually, no, because it'd be like you and I putting on a pair of ski boots just randomly and just walking around. One of my jobs as her handler is to go into a fire scene, and the best way for me to gauge the temperature and make sure that the scene is still not hot is actually just touch the floor with the back of my hand, and if it's comfortable for the back of my hand, it's comfortable for her paws. But also just the debris. These dogs, they go down, they touch areas. It's inevitable. Some of them will get injured. They will cut their paws, but it's my job as her handler to go in and determine that scene's safe.
All right, we're going to take another short break. When we come back, what's life for you like with Kachina not on the job? This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Senior Deputy State Fire Marshal Oliver Alkire and his Accelerant Detection K-9 Kachina. She's a 4-year-old lab. I don't know why we talk about their ages. We don't talk about your age. But at any rate, how you got partnered with Kachina. Explain it.
So again, when I was selected for the ATF K-9 program, they sent us the names of the dogs. Of course, I immediately saw her name. Kachina was one of the dogs. I immediately took a liking to that. But when we get actually to the training in Front Royal, the instructors tell us, don't get attached to any one dog. But when I saw her, I loved her. I fell in love with her. I just loved her look. So, of course, when we got paired, the instructors not only do during the background interview, they're also interviewing us during our class. They're kind of feeling us out. So she's considered a laid-back dog. I guess they consider me a laid-back guy, and that's how we got teamed up. So
grew up with a German Shepherd, hadn't had a dog since. You're not married.
No.
So Kachina does go home with you. She is your family member.
Yeah, every single night she comes home with me. Almost virtually anywhere I go for traveling, she comes with me.
Okay, here's the question that always trips people up in law enforcement with their canines. Does she sleep in bed with you?
No.
I want an honest answer.
No, actually she does not. I put a stop to that on the very first night. Some guys allow it. I prefer her to sleep on the couch. I always say, you have a 3,000-foot square home. She's more than welcome to sleep anywhere else but that bed. But, it's up to each individual handler.
All right, so when you're off duty, does she go everywhere with you? She's your right hand?
She does. Virtually everywhere I go. If I would go on vacation and do out-of-state activities, she would go with me. I do a lot of cruising, so that I have to find another handler in order for her to watch her and to train her properly while I'm out of town.
All right. And again, 4 dogs. Are they all Labradors?
They are all Labradors.
Why is that? Just the best noses out there? I thought Bloodhounds had good noses too.
Yeah, they are. But the reason ATF specifically uses Labs are because they're just hardy, they're hardworking, and they're friendly. You can train a dog for pretty much any type of particular job, but we just love the Labs because they're just a great, friendly dog. And you got to think about the scenes we're going into. The fire department's there, the families are there. We could train a German Shepherd to do this job, but it's just they're intimidating. And even though they may not be, we just want these dogs to go in and be friendly with the fire departments and also, the bystanders that are typically on fire scenes.
And even though I've had the State Fire Marshal's office in here before on shows, I think a lot of people don't realize that you are a law enforcement agency. Explain that for
yeah, the Office of the State Fire Marshal is a unit of the Maryland State Police. There's approximately 35, I guess almost 40 investigators spread across the state. We actually take care of 17 out of the 23 counties in the state. We are the primary fire investigation unit.
She is trained with the ATF. Mm-hmm. Where do you get your training to deal with her? Do they train you at the same time or at the end of her training? How does that work?
No, so she was actually trained to be a guiding eyes for the blind dog, and from my understanding, she actually failed her very last exam.
Oh, and you said that on air. She's listening.
I know. I'm sorry, babe, but we have certainly found her line of work. So her trainer successfully trained other dogs. They didn't really know what to do with her, so they contacted ATF, and ATF, hold on. So ATF said, hey, we would take her. They procured her, and she's actually trained for about 10 weeks. She's on your mic. So they train her for 10 weeks, and then I come in and we train for additional. So it's 16 weeks of training for her.
And what was the training like for you? You've been through a lot of law enforcement training, I'm guessing, in your past. Was this completely different than anything else you've ever experienced?
This was completely different than
And you said it's in
Front Royal, Virginia.
Royal, okay.
Yes, yeah, it's the ATF National K-9 headquarters.
Okay.
So they train all their accelerant dogs as well as their explosive dogs there. I would have to say it is the premier K-9 training facility, and I would put it up pretty much anywhere in the world. It is top notch. There is no expense. I mean, they spare no expense on these dogs and their training facilities. It really is it's amazing.
Well, explain it, because we have some time, so let's hear about it.
Sure. So it's a large facility. It has a large floor that the dogs are able to be trained on. It's extremely immaculate. I would almost bet you could eat off the floor at this training facility. They have large open fields that the dogs can run on, train on, and also their kennels are just absolutely immaculate. They have 24/7 vet care there. It's just really...
That's great to hear.
It really is.
And your training there, tough? Was it...
It can be grueling at times, but the instructors and the staff there are just top notch, and they make it very laid back because, again, if you're stressed out, that goes straight down to the leash to the dog, and they don't want these dogs stressed out. So, again, it was just top notch training.
Kachina and you out working in the field, we shouldn't run up and say, hey, Kachina, I want some hugs. I want some kisses, like, of course, I always do with dogs.
No, we always encourage. I go across to events all across the state to go out here and promote her and tell people, because everyone knows about bomb dogs, patrol dogs, bloodhounds, but these are just so few and rare that there's not too many of these. But we always ask a canine handler, can I approach your dog? Can I touch your dog? And I guarantee you we will always say yes.
This is not an aggressive dog.
Not at all. Not a mean bone in her body.
Not a mean bone in her body. All right. I can't thank you enough both for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Donna.
For more information on the Maryland State Fire Marshal's office, you can find them on Facebook at the Office of the Maryland State Fire Marshal, on Twitter at Maryland OSFM, on the web at mdsp.maryland.gov/fire marshal, and for more information about the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms K-9 Training or K-9 Training Facility, visit atf.gov. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.